Welcome to Heads Up Play. We got a jam-packed weekend full of sports. We got NBA, we got NFL going on today. We had college football this past weekend. We had a top 10 team going down. You know, it's me, Cowboy. We got my man Sweaty Boy. J-Dub cannot make it today. If you watched last episode, which I know you did, he heard he was not coming. It's not because he didn't want to talk to you guys. He loves our Heads Up Play fans. It's because him and Sweaty Boy actually went to a game yesterday. He's driving back home from it. It's a long drive, so he can't unfortunately be there for us. But you know what? The show must go on. The show must go on. So we're going to have some fun today. Sweaty Boy, how you doing today, man?
Having a good evening so far. It's been a nice Sunday. Chilling, just watched a little bit of football, catched up on some highlights from the great day yesterday of college football. I think probably the best single day of college football that we've had all season. Every game that we're going to talk about just seemed to be incredible.
Did you get messed up by this time change? You get messed up by the time change?
I did not. I did wake up this morning thinking that it was later than it was. I woke up thinking it was 7:30, and because I saw that on my oven clock and the microwave clock, and then I looked at my phone and it said 6:30, and I was like, oh my.
Well, what do you? Which one do you prefer? Do you prefer this one or do you prefer the other one?
I hate this one right now because it's 6:15, 6:17 where I'm at right now, and it is pitch black dark outside, and I cannot stand that. I can't stand that.
It's turning pitch black dark on me right now.
Yeah, I hate it. I much prefer I love it when it's 8 o'clock at night and it's still daylight. I love that.
When you work at an 8 to 5 or a 9 to 5. You get off and it's pitch dark outside. That's the worst, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's terrible. You feel like you can't do anything because your day is gone.
It's just, I don't know, man. Whoever thinks this is a good idea to, do all these time changes really doesn't work. It really doesn't work.
It really doesn't work. I know they're talking about getting rid of it, but that doesn't seem to have gone anywhere. But
that's like bringing the lottery to Alabama. It's never going to happen.
No, absolutely not. No gambling whatsoever in the state of Alabama, but it was a busy weekend in college football, but a little bit going on today in the NFL. Started off, the NFL is doing this, European thing, which I kind of like it. It's neat because you can wake up and just turn on football. I do kind of like that to a degree. But I just don't really think that the Europeans. I see what they're trying to do.
It was in Germany today. It was in Frankfurt today.
It was in Frankfurt. They had the London series, for 2 or 3 weeks. This one, it was a good game.
It was too good of a game to be in Germany at 8 o'clock in the morning.
Yes.
So I saw where Mad Dog, by the way, he didn't retire, but I saw where Mad Dog, he said, it's so early in the morning. I don't need to be praying to Mahomes and Tua. I need to be praying to my Jesus, and that's not Tua and Mahomes. I need to be praying to Jesus at that time. And he's right. It was too good of a. That is I don't know why that's not on Sunday Night Football. That is a Sunday night primetime game. Why couldn't they have given us, I don't know, the Commanders and the Patriots in Germany, or the Cardinals and Browns, or Texans and Buccaneers? No, let's put the best game possibly. And it wasn't even that good of a game, but possibly could have been the best game in the whole NFL season so far.
Yeah.
Let's put it at 8 in the morning in another country. That just don't make sense to me.
How much of it did you watch? Did you watch the whole thing, or did you watch a little bit of it?
I watched the second quarter because I was getting ready for church. That's the thing. That's what I'm saying. I hate those games because by the time you can watch them while getting ready, and then by the time you get out of church, when I was out of church, the game was over. I did see the stats, though. It didn't look that good for both Mahomes and Tua.
No, I will say for Kansas City to hold that potent offense of Miami to 2 touchdowns, that their defense is legit. And for kind of a year where Mahomes seems to be looking a little bit more human, what more can you ask for? But it kind of came down to one final drive, one final chance for the Dolphins in the fourth quarter. They were driving pretty well. Looked like Tyreek Hill could be the guy to make a play. Got down, I think it was in the red zone or inside the 30, somewhere around there, and just a bad snap on 4th and 10, just kind of killed the game for the Dolphins, and it led to a 21-14 victory for the Chiefs. But to your point, yeah, not a game that needs to be in Germany. I agree. I kind of like what they're doing to expand the sport a little bit, but I think we should do it a different way.
Like, y'all want to, I mean, they say, well, they picked this game in the preseason. We all knew these two teams were going to be good. Like, why are we putting the Chiefs, like, in London? I would understand if we even had London games. No, we put the Titans and Jaguars. We put no, my bad, Jaguar. I think it might have been the Titans and Jaguars. Titans, Jaguars, Falcons, Jaguars, and someone else. I can't remember who else it was. Wait a second.
Bless you. We sneezing on this Sunday.
It's sneezing. But
a little bit to talk about your Dirty Birds. They did lose today, 31-28 to the Minnesota Vikings.
They choked.
4-5 on the season. Taylor Heineke had an all right game, 268 yards with a touchdown. He did throw an interception.
Still better than Desmond.
Yeah, you're right. Bijan did not do much, 51 yards on 11 carries. So that's that. Some other games, Ravens destroyed the Seahawks.
The Ravens
Browns destroyed
are good.
the Cardinals.
The Ravens are 7-2 this year. I mean,
Ravens are good.
I mean, Lamar Jackson looks good. I mean, the man, he threw for 187 yards with 60 yards rushing. He looks good. The Browns finally stepped up. I mean, Deshaun Watson played like he could. I mean, this is for a first game of being off injury, 27-0 against Arizona. I mean, pretty good.
Another game. This one, I don't know if guys are talking about him for Rookie of the Year. C.J. Stroud,
he's got to win it.
Going off. I mean, the Houston, who is 4-4 now, they beat the 3-5, now 3-5 Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who were looking good to start the season with Baker Mayfield. CJ was 30 for 42, 470 yards and 5 touchdowns. I mean, good grief.
And I love it for D'Amico Ryans being, Bama boy and all that.
Of course.
But
of course.
They're going to be good. I'll tell you, though, the Saints are running away with the NFC South right now, sitting with 5-4. It was, and I hate that, being a Dirty Birds fan. It's just Saints running away with it right now. I mean, and I'm glad it's shaping up to be this way. I really hope the Falcons win next week. Falcons next week they have the Cardinals at the Cardinals. So it's shaping up because we're going mobile. Me and my fiance, we're going to Atlanta. It's going to be Saints versus Falcons. So it could be shaping up to a very good game. A very good game on Thanksgiving week. On Thanksgiving week, too. Oh,
it's divisional game.
That's going to be a huge game. I am very
big rivalry there. That'll be fun to watch for sure.
I'm about to say I am very excited to watch the Saints Falcons. That's going to be a big game. The Commanders, they confuse me. They trade Montez Sweat this week. They traded. No, it was. I just don't know, man. They confuse me. They went out and won today against New England, who falls to 2-7. I don't know, man. New England, it looked like they pieced it together. Not pieced it together, but they looked better. But today was rough.
Yeah, Mac Jones 24 for 44 passing attempts, 222 yards, just a touchdown and an interception. Kind of minimal numbers for 44 passing attempts. He hasn't been fantastic. Granted, he doesn't have much to work with, but tough times for. I met some nice Patriots fans last night, and they have not been pleased.
And I'll tell you something else that's crazy. You always hear the risk, like, okay, you want to shoot Super Bowl, but at what cost? And the prime example of that now is the Los Angeles Rams. Those guys,
what a fall off!
They knew it. They knew it was coming.
Yeah,
they traded all of their picks for Von Millers, the the Jalen Ramseys, the Matthew Staffords, and now I mean it's unraveling right now. It's just
Yeah,
it's not looking good right now for the Rams, and they don't have a future coming in. I mean, their quarterback today was Brett Rippon. I mean, I don't know. The Packers are struggling. It was that was a mid game. That was a battle of the tanks. That was a mid game.
other ones you got going on, Colts currently beating the Panthers. Poor Bryce Young. They're beating them 26-10 in the fourth. Currently also going on, Raiders are destroying the Giants.
Daniel Jones actually went out today with injury.
Oh, did he really?
They had to bring in the great Tommy DeVito.
Oh my. And then a big game on Fox, big rivalry game, Philly and Dallas.
And you know
probably the two worst fan bases in the NFL.
And I'm going to tell you something, though. I feel like that is in all major sports. I feel like that is a forgotten rivalry. Like
it's because it's not regional.
That's the only thing. I feel like those two, they hate each other.
They do.
They really do. Like if you're an Eagles fan, you hate the Cowboys. If you're a true Eagles and true Cowboy fans, you hate each other.
It's a rivalry that's lasted since the beginning of their franchises, basically. And I think it does kind of come down to just the nature of their fan bases. Of course, we know the way Philly is and their fans, and then Dallas with their success.
I'm not saying the rivalry is big as the Michigan and Ohio States and the UNC basketball and Duke basketball, Alabama, Auburn. But I truly think it's like professional team wise, it's up there with the Celtics, Lakers, Yankees, Red Sox. I think the Eagles Cowboys rivalry is for real. I think it's massive.
No, I agree. It's probably the best rivalry in the NFL. You could probably throw Packers Bears up there, even though it hasn't been much recently. No, I agree with you. Well, that's the NFL. We can touch a little bit on the NBA as well, because it's been going on. Cowboy, what is this in-season tournament? What is this thing? It seems like even the players don't know what's going on. Please, for those who don't understand,
it is kind of confusing. It's something new, and I like it. It's interesting. I'm sure everybody saw the new courts this weekend and thought, what is this mess? I mean, I know y'all did. Because John texted me, J-Dub, he asked me about. So they're trying to drive up revenue right now. This is the tough part of the NBA. You got to compete with college football. You got to compete with the NFL, all that stuff. They're just trying to give some people to be motivated to watch NBA about. And I think it's a brilliant idea. It goes from I think it started the other day, like November 3rd, and it'll go to December 3rd. It's not like every game. It's like every week there's like an NBA in-season game. And I want to say if you win, you get like an incentive or something like that.
So kind of like the old All-Star game. You win and you get home field advantage in the
well, no, like you get playoffs. Money. I think the players get money.
Oh, really?
I think they need to make it, in my opinion. I would do it as if you win the NBA in-season tournament, you automatically get a bye, in my opinion. I think that would make it 10 times more fun. Like, gives them something to work for, but I think it's a great idea. The players are they got the brand new courts out there. They have the different jerseys on. I think it's something smart. I will say, out of all commissioners in sports, I do think Adam Silver is the best commissioner when it comes to sports. I
agree. I think Rob Manfred, as much as hate as he gets, he's probably done some good things for baseball, some bad, some good. Roger Goodell will always be the most hated man, probably.
Roger Goodell, I mean, and I love it. He loves it. I mean, he knows it. I mean, when he does the draft and they don't boo loud enough, he's like, "Come on, rain it on me."
Right.
But I think the NBA, I think they hit a home run on this. They're trying to figure out the All-Star stuff. They're contemplating going back to the East versus West thing, which I think they should do. I hate the whole team captain, pick a player.
Right.
I like the format, because they got to play, I want to say the first one to 178 points. And I don't know if you watch, but when it gets close to that 178, they go hard. Like the beginning of it, they're just throwing up stuff. But when it gets close, it's good. Especially if it's tight, it's good.
Oh, yeah. For sure.
NBA dunk contest ain't as good as it used to be. The NBA three-point, I mean, that whole weekend. So I like what they're doing here. They're driven up.
I will
revenue.
say, as confusing as this in-season tournament seems to be, it definitely sticks out on TV. I mean, John and I, prior to Friday night, before going to the Florida game, which we'll get into college football here in a minute. We were at this bar and it was on TV, and it definitely stood out. Seeing the red courts and the blue court and all that, it was definitely pretty unique.
And I like it
But in
because
the NBA,
they do all the teams are competing in it. It's just not everybody's competing in it. That's what I really like about it.
Well, as far as the NBA goes, you picked the Celtics, I believe, to win the NBA Finals this year.
Yep.
They're sitting at 5-0 right now. They seem to be just kicking it. You also picked, I believe, Denver to
be in
face
it with
them in the finals. Yeah, they're sitting right behind them. They're 6-1. They're doing really good. Golden State's doing well. The Atlanta Hawks, your Hawks. Your Hawks.
I'm still contemplating. I love the NBA. I love the NBA. But I'm trying to figure out if I want to be a Pelicans or a Hawks fan. I'm just really trying to figure out.
I feel like if you're going to be a Braves fan,
I got to be a Hawks fan
and a Falcons fan. You just got to be Atlanta.
I really hate Trae Young. I really do. I just do. If Luka, because you know who Trae Young was traded for on draft night, right?
Who?
It was traded for Luka Doncic. Like they both were traded for each other in the first round pick. If Luka would have went to Atlanta, I would definitely be an Atlanta fan. I just really hate Trae Young, and this stems back to when he was at Oklahoma and when they played Alabama.
Don't look now. J-Dub's NBA Finals champ prediction: the Orlando Magic are currently sitting at 4-2.
They got a good team.
Don't give him anything to brag about.
He's already bragging enough about this Bama game. You're gonna see why. But I'll tell you though, in my eyes, who's impressing me the most this NBA season, and I just talked about him, Luka Doncic. Luka Doncic is amazing. I mean, I don't know how else to put it. Averaging so far 33.8 points a game with 10.4 rebounds and 9.4 assists. Insane. And he's a guard. He's a 4. He could be a 3, but he's a guard doing this. Like, come on, man, that's insane.
Yeah, he's pretty incredible, and I mean the dude's only 24. Does he not look like he's 34?
He's been playing in like professionally leagues, like in Europe, and since the age of 13. There's a photo online when I want to say USA was playing at like an expedition game, and he was getting guarded by Russell Westbrook when he was like 13. He was playing for like Real Madrid, and it's insane. It's insane. But the NBA, man, I'm getting by. I'm getting the NBA League Pass. I'm very excited to get into the NBA. Trying to find me a couple of games to go to this year. There was one game I really wanted to go to. It was a 76ers at the Hawks in-season tournament, but it's on a Friday of Thanksgiving, like Thanksgiving week for my family, and I was like, I can't go to that. I can't hear you at all.
Sorry, I muted myself for a second while I was chewing on some peanut M&Ms. Yeah, definitely. NBA is popping right now with the in-season tournament. We'll see how that goes. Is it just all teams coming together and to play for a title?
Yeah,
the final team takes home a trophy or something.
Yeah, there's an award and everything. It looks, and I don't know if you noticed this. They have all their awards this year are brand. I mean, they've always had the MVP and all that, but they redid them. Like they renamed them and all that stuff. It's pretty cool. It'll
be interesting to see. I'd love to see, who takes home that final prize or whatever. But to move on, as we mentioned at the beginning of the show, great Saturday in college football. Oh,
man, it was
so many incredible games. I mean, from the noon slate on, so many fantastic games. And I think you have to start off with a game that we all kind of thought would be really close and thought it could be an upset, but ended up going with the winning team, and that is Texas at Kansas State. Texas 33, Kansas State 30.
That was a tough one.
This was a really tough game. Kansas State, it came down to the wire, and it really just came down to the coaching staff not trusting the kicking team. I mean, I don't know how else to put it. When you are going for it on 4th and goal, I think they were at the 5 or 6 yard line, and that's game. Like that shows what confidence you have in your kicker and your placeholder, and it just turned into a total mess. Kansas State had an opportunity to win the game. I don't know why they went for why they didn't go for the field goal, just move it to the second overtime. But whatever. Kansas State is a really good team. They're defending Big 12 champs for a reason. So I knew that they could keep up with Texas for sure, especially with a backup quarterback playing. But Texas escapes.
Texas, it just shows they're not as strong as everybody thought they was. But about Kansas State's coach, you always hear the saying, coaches overthink things. I truly think he probably overthought this one. Like, he's thinking, oh, I need to do this because analytically in the second half that we're you just kick the ball and get to the second half. Don't overthink it. Like, why are we thinking so hard about it?
Right.
I think Texas, though. I got a wild prediction for you. What is Texas right now? 7?
They're 7 right now.
We'll talk about it after. We'll talk about it after we give our top 6.
Okay.
If I'm the committee, and I'm not saying this because I'm a fan of this team. I'm putting Bama over Texas. I think they jumped them.
I mean, when you look at the resume now that both teams have, yes, Texas does have the head-to-head win in Bryant-Denny Stadium. That is big, but that was week 2, and the committee has consistently shown over the decade now of the college football playoff that they do value later wins in seasons more than the beginning. And if you look at the growth of both of these teams, it has been Bama all the way.
And I never would have said this, but our biggest win right now is going to be they're not that rank right now, but they will be, is the 9th best team in the nation with being Ole Miss Rebels.
Absolutely.
I mean, they're moving the 9, at least 9. I mean,
yeah, for sure. But I mean, you look at Texas, I said it last episode when we were giving our predictions. I said, if Texas wins this game, they're not losing another game in the regular season, that is. You got TCU, that's probably a win. Yeah, Iowa State, that's a win. And you got Texas Tech at home. That's probably a win.
That's a win.
So what we all thought would probably be a rematch of the Red River rivalry in the Big 12 championship likely will not be the case, and it very well could be Texas and Oklahoma State.
Yeah.
Who got routed by the South Alabama Jaguars, Jay's up.
Still don't know how that happened.
I don't know how that happened.
After watching South this year, we could play them 10 times and not beat them. They'd beat us 9 times, and that one time would be this time. And not only did we beat them, we beat them 32 to
beat the snot out of them.
It was like
T-Boone Pickens Stadium.
It was 20-0. Like going into it was a blowout, and it felt like one of them games we were supposed to win. It wasn't like we was hyped. No, it was like, oh, this is nothing. This is just the usual.
Yeah, it was definitely odd, and we'll hit more on Oklahoma State here in a little bit.
When we get to that game, yeah.
But I mean, do not sleep on if those two teams meet in the Big 12 championship with the way that Texas has just been kind of escaping in some of these games. I mean, you escaped against Houston, you escaped against Kansas State now. Don't sleep on the Pokes coming and maybe winning that game. But to move on, who do we have next on
We're gonna stay in the state of Texas, and we're gonna go with Ole Miss 38, Texas A&M being 35. That was I know you was at a game. I was doing it. I was doing my shrimp bowl, and I had the radio up, and I was listening to this game. I was flipping. I really listened to this one. I'm gonna tell you, man, Ole Miss. I hate it for him because I think this is Lane Kiffin's best year he's ever had at Ole Miss. It's kind of, I'm not trying to sound like a whiny baby when I say that. It's unfair that he has a Bama team that's 1 loss right now, because this team could easily be in the playoffs. Like, they're good. They're really good. Like, this Ole Miss team is good.
They are good. I mean, Jackson Dart, 24 of 33, 387. This for Texas A&M to have the defense that they had, this was a shootout.
Oh my gosh, it was a shootout. I was very shocked by that.
Texas A&M, Max Johnson, 31 of 42, 305 yards passing. Dart with 387. This was a track meet for sure. And Ole Miss just ended up kind of pulling it out. What does this mean for Jimbo? I mean, let's look at their schedule right now.
We talk about it
every week.
Let's go ahead. I'm going to be honest. I don't think they're going to fire him. they was going to do it, they would have done it by now. I don't think they're going to fire him.
You're probably right. You're probably right. I mean, but if I look at their schedule right now, what they have remaining, you got Mississippi State. They'll probably pull that out. That's at home. Abilene Christian at home, and then LSU. You're losing to LSU. I mean, if your great defense was allowed that to Ole Miss, I mean,
It's going to
that's
be
probably
rough.
a loss in Death Valley. So I don't think they'll fire him either, even if they end up going 7-5 or whatever that might.
It goes down this year, I believe. I think it goes from like 70 to 60 next year, the buyout. So it makes too much sense for them not to. I mean, unless you plan on winning it all next year with a first year coach with a whole new recruiting and a whole new coaching staff, just keep them. It ain't gonna do you no good.
Right. Well, interesting game for sure. I agree. Ole Miss is looking really, really good. We'll give our full predictions for this coming weekend's game in the next episode.
So,
but what's your confidence level right now in Ole Miss to go into Athens and maybe pull off the upset of the season?
I have to watch in Georgia, Missouri, and I'll get into Georgia, but I don't. I think Georgia is going to beat the crap out of them.
I'd probably have to be there right with you. I think if Ole Miss doesn't. My stupid dog always interrupting our dang podcast.
Feed him some chocolate. Feed him some chocolate.
Come here, get you a peanut M&M.
That's what he's barking about. He wants some peanut M&M.
That's right.
Peanut.
That's right. If Ole Miss isn't able to get something going early in that game, probably not going to have much of a chance.
I agree.
Moving on. This was one of my upset picks.
Yeah, it was. You hit it right on the nail with this one. I mean, Dabo, he answered back. You got Clemson 31, Notre Dame 23. And at one point, it was a butt whooping. I thought Notre Dame was going to come back. I thought they were about to come back, but
they were destroying them in the first half, and then seemed like they got something going in the second half. This was a bad game, though, from Sam Hartman. I've got my notes here. 13 of 30, 146 yards, and 2 interceptions. Not good. Phil Maffa, the running back for the Clemson Tigers, he kind of carried much of the Clemson offense because Cade Klubnik did not do much either. He had 36 carries, 186 yards, 2 touchdowns. But you're right, they were kind of just killing them there in the first half, and it looked like Notre Dame may come back, but Dabo held on and he got a really, really, really needed win.
It was one. What's that saying? They wrote me off, but I ain't right back though. I didn't right back. I mean, Dabo, what did he say after the game? I mean, it was such a Dabo moment. I mean, Dabo's just cringy.
Yeah, like put all stock in Clemson or something like that. If you want to buy stock,
buy it in Clemson right now.
Yeah.
Buy it right now.
Now Clemson's going to get destroyed next week.
It's just play. Like, bro, like, okay, like, you're not going to win. I just don't know. I don't know. I mean, he's right. I don't think Clemson's going to fire him. And you know what? I kind of like his approach to the whole. I've been thinking about it since I made my statement. I was like, oh, he sounded like an idiot. He's right. Clemson was little old Clemson. You know what? You think you can do it? Yeah. Okay. He gives him the double finger and says, I'm done. Find somebody else that can do better than I can.
No, I mean that would be crazy to see.
No, you're
for sure. But I mean, this could end up being, now looking at their schedule, they've got Georgia Tech, North Carolina, and South Carolina. I mean, if they pull an upset, that they're playing North Carolina at home. I mean, North Carolina's looked vulnerable. They lost to Virginia. So, I mean, if they run the table and win out, they could end up having an 8-4 season. That's not terrible. I mean, that's a down year for Clemson, but I mean, that's still pretty good.
Yeah, no, I agree. Now, the next game I want to go to, and I don't even have it in the script. It's a game that I told you to look out for. I didn't think they were going to win, but I figured they was going to give them a little bit of a push. Ohio State at Rutgers. That was Ohio State.
You did say look out for Greg Schiano.
And they were, I think they were beating them at one point. Not beating them, but it was
at the half. It was like 9-7 or something.
Rutgers, yeah, and then of course Ohio State, as they should, blew out Rutgers. Ohio State, they looked good. They came out looking pretty good. Does this keep Ohio State number one, or does well? You know what? We'll get into that whenever we get into our top six. We'll get into that. But Ohio State, I, I don't know why, but they're trying to push for that boy to win the Heisman, Marvin Harrison Jr. I don't know
They
why they're
are.
pushing.
The media loves him for sure. They really do.
He's just. I mean, I'm gonna be honest. I don't think he's nearly as good as Devontae ever was. I don't think he's. I mean, I think he's good. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying he's not good. But like season wise, I think Luther's having a 10. Luther from
Yes.
Missouri, I think he's
Absolutely.
having a 10 times. If you want to push wide receiver, it should be Luther. It should not be Marvin Harrison Jr.
Yeah, I think the resume for Ohio State is starting to dwindle. I mean, you escaped against Notre Dame, who just lost to 4-4 Clemson. You escaped against
Penn State, really.
Penn State, who is a good team, but that was at home. You didn't play that great against Wisconsin, and you didn't play great against Rutgers. You allowed Rutgers to hang around with you. So, I think Ohio State will probably, and again, we'll get into that, but I think that Georgia will probably jump them after this.
I agree. I agree. Well, now, Sam, you and J-Dub was at this next game. Yeah, the Arkansas Razorbacks coming into Gainesville, the Swamp, upsetting. A Razorback beat a Gator today or yesterday. Can you tell us what was the experience like, man? Did you have fun? Tell us everything.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. Both of our first time at the Swamp. Really, really cool stadium. Very unique compared to most other SEC stadiums, or really most other just college football stadiums as a whole in terms of the architecture. It's really not a huge stadium. Like if you compare that to Bryant-Denny, I mean, Bryant-Denny is just way bigger than it, size-wise.
Yeah.
But capacity-wise, it's not that much bigger. And that's because at Florida, everybody is packed in there. I mean, they jam-pack everyone in there. And you can see it on TV. Everybody, you're tight. You're packed in there like sardines.
I'm wrong. From the TV watching it on TV, it feels like the stadium's on top of the field. A little bit.
It's right there. It is right there. Very.
Now, it reminds me of Penn State Stadium a little bit. How Penn State looks like the student section is like. It looks like the stands is on the field. Like you could easily step on the field.
It's right there, and the wall from is only maybe like 4 or 5 feet tall. But it was a really cool experience. Florida, we were there just kind of watching. Kind of hoping for Florida to win, just home team. They did wear black uniforms, first time ever in school history, so it was like a military thing that they were doing. Pretty neat. I bet that they got pretty hot because that sunshine, and when it shined, it was beaming.
It shined, yeah.
So I know them boys was hot. I don't know if that maybe played a factor in the game or not.
Did you have to stand up the whole time like they usually do at Swamp?
No, we were able to sit down every now and then, but our seats were right next to the aisle, which is convenient, but also the aisles there are very, very thin. Really only thin enough to fit one person to go up and down them. So they would get clogged like really bad when a lot of people were moving. And people would like hit you on the side like as they were coming down. It got kind of annoying.
I like the idea, the blackout. I kind of hate they didn't make the game at night. You feel like, I know it's going to sound crazy. I know you say, okay, it's a blackout game. Then they find out the times. You're like, okay, maybe we shouldn't make it still a blackout game. I mean, they still had enough time to change it. Did the Razorbacks, did they storm the field?
They did not. They had a fair amount of fans there, but not much. They really filled up like one small section, and then they were like
speaking of storming the field, and we'll get back to this game. I thought it was crazy Clemson storming the field against Notre Dame.
Oh, I know. That really shows. I mean, like come on now.
Like I get it. Okay, I get it. If it was anybody else playing Notre Dame, y'all have won national championships before.
Yes. What are you doing? Storming the field against Notre Dame.
Like, come on now. Like they've lost three games now. Like it wasn't like that. I got off subject. That was my opinion. I was like, are they really storming the field?
No, I agree with you. But at Florida, no, they did not storm the field. But I got to give credit to Arkansas. I said it to a couple of Florida fans around us and to John. Arkansas was 2-6 or 2-7 coming into this game. They are not as bad as that record shows.
No, they're not.
They played some really close games. They almost beat LSU. They almost beat Alabama, and I just kind of figured, I picked Florida to win this game. That was believe it or not, and we'll touch on who was right mostly here once we go over all these games. But KJ Jefferson, if he was on a better team, I think he's probably a Heisman candidate for sure. I think he's honestly a better quarterback than Jaden Daniels, believe it or not. I know that's probably a crazy thing to say.
I don't know about that one, but
when
I think
he runs,
good.
you can't bring him down. You cannot bring that dude down. He is. I mean, if he's on a better team, he is most certainly at least in the Heisman consideration.
Did this save Sam Pittman's job? This win at the Swamp. I mean, the Swamp. They're 5-3. No. I mean, it was. You don't think you might. If they can win out, if they can win out, well, let me pull up their schedule real quick. I mean, you still got to play LSU. Oh no, they already played LSU. Excuse me. Let's see, SEC, Arkansas. All right, so left on Arkansas' schedule, you got Auburn at home. You got FIU and Missouri. You're losing to Missouri, but there's a good chance. There's a good chance they could win 6 games, be 6-6, and be a decent season.
I agree, but is that enough for Arkansas fans? Are you fine with going to the Birmingham Bowl? Or, and I don't think that they are. I know that the expectation at Arkansas is not high, especially competing in the SEC. But, I mean, you're getting Texas and Oklahoma in there. You want to compete with those guys who used to be in the conference that you were in years and years and years ago. So I still do think he gets fired, even if he ends up winning out. If he ends up winning out, maybe not. But if he loses at least one of his next few games, he's probably done for it.
But it was a good game. It was a really good game.
It went into overtime. All because of mostly a missed extra point by Florida. But yeah, a good game.
Does this hurt Billy Napier?
Another good question, and I
don't think he gets fired.
I don't think he gets fired.
It makes the seat a little bit warmer though. It's not as cold as it was.
I mean, because he's not going to make a bowl. You still got to play Missouri, Georgia, Missouri, Florida State, and some other. I forgot who else they have on their schedule. Ole Miss, I think.
They got They got LSU,
LSU, Missouri, and Florida State. Excuse me, you're right.
They'll be 6-6 at best. At
best, if they pull out, a fluke win at home against Florida State or something like that, which would be, if he does that, he'll.
But there's a really good chance they'll be 5-7. 5-7.
Exactly, and miss a bowl game, So, it's tough for Florida. Florida fans were very, very upset leaving that game because they knew that was most likely their only chance to go to a bowl game for sure. But moving on, I got
an SEC game I want to talk about before we get into this one because this one was bad too. This one was almost an upset.
This one was bad.
I want to go, and I forgot to put it on the list because it was a late game. Kentucky and Mississippi State. Mississippi State, I said it last week on the podcast, they got to get a quarterback next season.
Yeah.
They are terrible without Will Rogers. I don't know if you saw, Mike cried. Threw for a whopping 78 yards and threw in there Chris Parsons, the backup, 67 yards. I mean, they are bad. They are bad without, they got, I don't know.
Without Will Rogers, they are nothing.
They got a transfer portal. They got to get they're not going to get a recruit because it's Mississippi State. But they got to do. This is bad. This is not.
Yeah, they'll have to get some.
They're falling apart right now. They're 4-5. They're falling apart. They play at A&M. I truly think A&M's going to beat them. Play Southern Miss, and then they play Ole Miss at Mississippi State. The Egg Bowl's at Mississippi State. There's a good chance they possibly can maybe be 5-7.
No, I agree. Without Will Rogers, that team is atrocious. They are nothing at all, and it's sad to see. I agree. They probably need to get some, a high-end group of 5 quarterback out of the portal to try and try and compete somewhat. But I mean, at the quarterback position, it just ain't working right now. But another place that ain't working is Shane Beamer at South Carolina. I mean,
Oh,
this was the battle of the Gamecocks. This was something that I had wanted to watch for a long time because I think they're the only two Gamecock team mascots out there. Jacksonville State, what we in Alabama often refer to as Jack State, and South Carolina. And this was neck and neck. This was a neck and neck game
the whole
at
time.
South Carolina the whole entire game up until, pretty much the very end. And give credit, Jacksonville State is a very good football team in the Conference USA. I mean, I think they're sitting at 7-3 now.
They're set up. Yeah, 7. This is their first year in Division One football. Like D1A. Like this is ridiculous for South Carolina. It's bad. It is bad in South Carolina.
Does Shane Beamer get fired?
He has to. And let me tell you why.
He has to be.
Because they're wasting Rattler. I mean, Rattler's having a great season. They're wasting him. That defense is terrible. I mean, like you said, not discrediting Jacksonville State, but they are. South Carolina is terrible. I mean, for a team, I would understand if you play like an App State or a James Madison. You just played a brand new Conference USA team. This is their first year. They can't do nothing. I don't think they can play in a bowl game because they're ineligible.
No, I don't think they can either.
I mean,
just like James Madison,
Well, nobody talks about it though. The best coach in the game, might possibly have been a Rich Rod.
Oh, Rich Rod.
Richard Rodriguez, almost Alabama. He could have been Alabama. We had him. We wanted him. He told
Glad
us
we didn't get it.
Oh my! I'm just telling you. Nick Saban couldn't touch the turf that Rich Rod touched. I mean, I'm telling you, I think Rich Rod would have been a better coach. We would have beat Clemson in 2018. I'm just saying it. But I think Beamer yesterday just confirmed it. Like it really wasn't a win. Like it was, but it wasn't.
It was a struggle win for sure.
They'll win the next game. I tell you, next game's gonna be tough. They got Vanderbilt at home. They're not at Vanderbilt at home. That's gonna be that next week game is going to be who is the worst in the SEC. Who you got that? And then they play Kentucky at South Carolina, of course. And then they have Clemson. So there's a good chance, really, they could be 3-9. If they go 3-9, he's done. He's fired. With possibly one of the greatest quarterbacks in South Carolina history with Shane Rattler, they're done.
Yeah, if South Carolina loses to Vandy at home, I would not be shocked if they fire Shane Beamer on the spot. I would not be shocked.
And
they should.
Which they should.
Yeah. Well, moving on, it is the second biggest game, was the second biggest game in the SEC, maybe even in the country.
Yeah.
Georgia and Missouri. Missouri was holding on for much of the game. I mean, it was a game up until, when Brady Cook threw an interception.
Really, the fourth quarter, yeah, and then it just...
Yeah, and let a lineman run down and take almost a pick six. Probably would have been if he was a little bit faster. I think this just kind of proved that Georgia probably should be the number one team, but is also vulnerable. This is not an unbeatable Georgia team, and I think when they have not been tested truly on the road. They go to Knoxville in 2 weeks, look out.
I know, I agree. I'm waiting to find out the time for that game. When they release the time,
it's got to be at night.
I mean, you going to Knoxville? Come on, man. It's got to be a nighttime game. I mean, if you're
Tennessee, know what though? I kind of feel like we see more upsets in the SEC in the 2:30 slot.
Except if you're an Alabama fan, then Alabama gets upset at 9 and they go bonkers.
Yeah, that's right.
The last 3 losses with A&M, A&M, LSU, and was it Tennessee last year? But I'm gonna tell you, I think Carson Beck is by far the best quarterback Georgia's had, or really Kirby Smart era. I think Carson Beck is that good. I like Carson Beck. I think he's very good. He's very composed. I don't know, man. This Georgia team, I'm starting to kind of get on the Georgia train. Like, okay, they might be for real. Like, I know you said, and no, I'm not denying you. Their strength of schedule, joke. It's a joke. But I kind of knew they was going to beat the crap out of Missouri. It just felt like they was going to beat the crap out of Missouri. I think Georgia, I don't know. They can beat Tennessee at Tennessee. I just don't know, man. I really don't. But I think this might have been enough for Georgia to leapfrog Ohio State. We'll get into that at the end. But this Georgia, this was a good game. I hate it for Missouri fans. They this is by far the best season they've had since they came into the SEC. That because you remember that first year when they had Shane Ray out on the outside line, they were good. When they played Auburn, they were good. But I don't know. Georgia's really good.
Yeah, no, you're right. I mean, I think this Georgia team is kind of molding into, Georgia. I think,
Yeah.
and it'll be interesting to see, as they get more into this, higher ranked team matchups. I think this Ole Miss game will be really competitive. I really do. I think it would, if Lane Kiffin can just keep his mouth shut and not give Georgia anything to go on this week, I think he might have a fighting chance. Not much of one, but who knows? But I agree, but I give credit to Missouri at least a little bit. I mean, Eli Drinkwitz was
fired. He was
going to be fired. Yeah,
he had the hottest seat coming into the season. It was a given. He was going to be fired.
He has turned that program around big time for sure. But yeah, Georgia just looking more and more like they're becoming Georgia. Carson Beck is coming into his own. I agree. He's probably the best Georgia quarterback overall since maybe Matthew Stafford. I mean, I know Jake Fromm was pretty good.
I would probably go Aaron Murray. Aaron Murray was good.
You're right. Aaron Murray was really good.
I never thought Fromm was that good. Don't get me started on Stetson Bennett. I never thought Stetson Bennett was that good, but I think Aaron Murray was the best Georgia quarterback. I mean, he reminds me. It was crazy because him and AJ McCarron were like mirrors of each other, in my opinion. They both were just field generals. I loved Aaron Murray. I know he played for Georgia, and we played him. I loved Aaron Murray. I thought he was a good quarterback. But let's go across to the plains of Auburn. We like to talk about Auburn a lot because of J-Dub. That's his team. They got the win this week. They played at Vandy, 131-15. It was kind of a boring game, not going to lie. But Auburn, it's getting better. They're 5-4, winning record. They got Arkansas at Arkansas, New Mexico State at home, and then they play Bama, of course, at Auburn. There's a good chance that if they can win this Arkansas game, they'll be 7-5, which will be they need to win this because it'll be a good season.
They'll be to go 7-5 in your first year coaching after the previous coach got fired and all that stuff. That's a huge win for Hugh Freeze. I mean, huge win.
This is 2 wins on the year for the SEC. I mean, you can't beat it. I think it was a good win.
You know what? I think Peyton Thorne. He's not fantastic. He's not. But yeah. And it is Vandy, but he was 17 for 27, 194 yards, 2 touchdowns. I mean, that's not terrible. He's getting better. He really is. This is not a year for Auburn to really go crazy about. But
I'm telling you, though, who's the star of this Auburn offense, and nobody's talking about him. You got to be Jarquez Hunter.
Jarquez Hunter, yes. 183 yards, 2 touchdowns.
Rushed the game before 144. I don't know why they're not trying to run him more. That's what I would do. Just make this a run pass. I mean, you don't have to be a pass heavy team. And you don't see that often with a Hugh Freeze offense. But I really like Jarquez Hunter. He's good. He's good.
He is really good. He really is. Well, moving on to another game, another fantastic game. I wasn't able to watch it, but another game, my other upset pick of the week, Oklahoma State. This was the very last matchup between these two, at least in a regular season. The final matchup in Bedlam. Oklahoma State takes care of business, upsets the Sooners 27-24. And this was a big win. I just kind of figured with all the talk about Mike Gundy, with this season, and at least the beginning of the season, and then with, he's been very vocal about Oklahoma going to the SEC. I knew that this was a game that he really, really wanted. His players really, really wanted, because now, Oklahoma State doesn't have a rival anymore.
No.
Who is Oklahoma State's rival? Oklahoma will have Texas, and they'll probably form a new rival in the SEC.
I would almost maybe go Baylor because they lost to Baylor that one time. I mean, like a couple years ago in the Big 12. I mean,
yeah.
I would almost well, no, I mean maybe take TCU. I don't
Yeah,
know.
Texas Tech. Who really knows? But yeah, big. That's a very emotional win for Oklahoma State. I'm glad that they won that. Yeah, overall great game from the Cowpokes, and the Sooners are pretty much fully out of any playoff conversation.
No, I agree. I agree. It's still, and we touched on it earlier. Shocked South Alabama beat. I mean, went to Oklahoma State, beat the dog out of them. Everybody's talking about, man, this Oklahoma, and everybody written them off already all season. Even in preseason, like they're gonna be rough. Like everybody knew, like Oklahoma State's not gonna be good. They're not gonna be good. They're not gonna be like they're riding off Mike Gundy. They're possibly probably they're I don't know if they're better than Kansas, but they might be the top. They're at least top 5 teams in Big 12. Like they're good. Oklahoma State's good.
Yeah, no, they really are. They've really went from having no quarterback at all to Ollie Gordon the second. His coming out party has just been insane, and yeah, really, really good showing from Oklahoma State. Another very, 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 very high scoring game. We knew that's what this game was going to be.
This was supposed to be my upset game, and I thought I had it for a minute there. I thought I had it. Washington, USC, 52-42. Another Lincoln Riley offense, just blowing up. He's wasted Caleb. I mean, I don't know. This might have been Michael Penix's Heisman game, maybe.
It might have been. It might have just been. This was really high scoring. I've got my notes here. I've really only got one note on here. We knew Penix would go off. We knew Caleb Williams would go off. Neither of these teams really have much of a defense, especially USC. But the running back for Washington, Dylan Johnson, 256 yards with 4 tutties. Great game from him. Washington's going to be favored in every game they have going forward. I do think if they play Oregon again, we have talked about it before. I do think Oregon wins that game. But right now, that's just kind of what it is. Seems like Washington's really running the table right now in the Pac-12.
Yeah, this is Washington's league to have. For next game, we got 2 more games. Arizona 27, UCLA 10. I believe I might have been wrong. Let me check the score. But another upset right there. That was a big upset today. Actually, it was 27-10.
Arizona 27, UCLA 10. Yeah,
Arizona. They're low key having a back-to-back weeks upsetting the 11th team last week in Oregon State, beating UCLA. They've actually, to be honest, they're on 3 straight weeks of upsets. They beat Washington State at Washington State, beat them 40-46, beat Oregon State, and then beat UCLA this week.
Yeah, they're sitting at 6-3 right now. I mean, let's pull up their schedule, see what they got.
They got at Colorado, Utah at Arizona, and then they played Arizona State at Arizona State. So there's a really good chance they can maybe go 7-5. 7-5 at Arizona is a good season. That's a good season at Arizona.
I mean, their losses were to Mississippi State. That was in Mississippi. They lost to Washington
and USC
in a very close battle. So, I mean, this is probably just a really good Arizona team that, has lost some close games.
And this is a good, or let me rephrase that. They're going to go 8-4. They'll go 8-4 this year. They're going to beat Arizona State. They're going to beat Colorado. I'm already calling that game. They're going to beat Colorado. And don't sleep on them to possibly maybe upset Utah.
They've got Utah at home, and Utah's, they haven't looked fantastic in some of their games. Who knows?
I like the Arizona. There we go.
Yeah.
The Wildcats. Now let's get to the last game. The game of the week. It was a shootout. I mean, I remember I texted Sweaty, he's putting it on right now. I put on for my city. I texted, I feel like this game is going to be one to remember, and it was. It was leading up to be, and unfortunately, Jaden Daniels got hurt. I was telling people today at church, I feel like if Daniels didn't get hurt, it might have been close, but I don't know. Milroe, you still can't say what Alabama didn't do was great. I mean, I hate it because, LSU fans are going to say, well, if Daniels would have stayed in, we would have won. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying it might have been a shootout till the end, but
I don't think so. I I don't. I got to give Alabama a ton of credit here. Did he get injured in the fourth quarter? Yes, but Alabama was already up by 14 at that point.
I'm gonna tell you though, Milroe had a amazing game.
Easily his best
Both
game.
of them,
And granted,
both of them did. Both of them did.
And you still have to probably say that Daniels outplayed him because he's playing against a much tougher defense. I mean, LSU's defense is just absolute garbage, but this is definitely a huge confidence building game for a guy like Jaden Milroe to just go off and score as many touchdowns as he did against a weak defense. And the defense for Alabama, give them credit. I mean, LSU's only been held under 30 points one other time, and it was against Florida State. So, I mean, to hold them at 28 points, it's frustrating because at Alabama, we want to blow everybody out. We don't want them to score once. And to consider holding a team at 28 points a win, I know that's crazy, but considering just how insanely good that LSU offense is, it's a huge win. I do think that, maybe if Daniels stayed in, it probably would have been closer. Maybe a one touchdown difference.
I'd still say, and I'm not discrediting Alabama. I still think we would have won the game if Daniels was still in the game. I'm telling you, man. After we missed those kicks, and after that, I'll tell you, I think we both was on the same page because we called each other. After that first play, when Daniels just threw it down the field and burned it,
I was like, oh my God.
I was like, we're gonna lose this game. We're just gonna lose. It's gonna be one of those games. It's going to be a high-scoring, which it was, very high-scoring game. And also, we haven't even mentioned it, but kudos to J-Dub for calling the score.
He did, yes.
He called it 42 to 28.
He called the score exactly as it was, 42 to 28. And he was like, Sam, the score does not need to change. And I was like, why? I want to beat the crap out of him. And he's like, my score, this is what the score that I predicted. And sure enough, it stayed that way.
I thought I was about to get close to mine because, before Little Rocker kicked the field goal at the end, it was 38. I was like, okay, if they score another touchdown, which I thought they was going to do, it'd be 38-35. I was like, oh my gosh, like I'm about to get not. And then John took it away. Kudos. That was y'all did good. I did terrible this week in my picks. Alabama though, Daniels and let me ask you though. Milroe, I'm not saying he's going to win the Heisman. I do not take that, what I'm about to say. But does he get in the race? Not even in top 5. Does he get in the top 10 with his performance?
I saw earlier he's currently 7th in odds to win the Heisman.
I don't know. That's
high.
That's high. I would put him like 10, maybe 9. But
I think if he continues to play well, then he might have a good shot at having a nice Heisman campaign next season.
Yeah,
but
I agree.
Right now, he's still forming into himself, and he has grown and matured a ton.
Well, I'll tell you someone else who grew today, and I'm gonna give Tommy Reese his credit. I've never seen Tommy Reese this season adjust like he did, and finally we all knew Milroe could run. Let him run. Let him run the ball. I mean, the man rushed for 155 yards on 20 carries, 7.8 yards average each carry. Let him run the ball.
Yeah, I mean, when he's using his legs, he is potent. And the play between Daniels and Milroe was eerily similar. I mean, Daniels, 15 of 24, passing 219 yards. Milroe, 15 of 23, 219 yards, and both rushed for over like 150 yards. Very, very tight game between the both of them. Obviously, Daniels is a much more talented quarterback.
I definitely think if Daniels didn't get injured, no matter the outcome, when did he get? He got injured in the 4th, correct?
It was early in the 4th, like 13 or 12 minutes around that mark.
If he had 13 minutes left in the game and could pad his stats a little bit more, I think he would have jumped Penix for the Heisman. I mean, to have these numbers to not even play the 4th is insane.
Looking at it without crimson colored glasses, that hit from Dallas Turner, is that targeting or is that a clean hit?
I don't think that was targeting. I don't think it
was targeting either. I think they kind of had to throw the flag because of how hard of a hit it was, and it being after the ball was thrown. I do think that it is close, but I don't think that he led with his helmet. It just so happened to hit his helmet.
And I'll tell you a foul. I'll tell you a penalty I saw today or yesterday. that I thought to myself, okay, that is the worst call. I'm not saying this because I'm an Alabama fan. That false start on number 64.
What was that?
Was it 54 or 64? I don't remember.
I think it was 52, I think.
It was
I think it
52.
was
That's
52.
right. It said a false start. I mean, even when the all night last night, by the way, what's his name? The referee announcer. What's his name? Gene Tessitore.
Yeah.
He said 2 or 3 times, yeah, they made the wrong call. But hey, he said that a couple of times, like more than usual. Yeah, I don't know if I would have went with that call. They should have went with another one. It's just that was the worst call. There was nothing about that false start on Alabama. That should have been on LSU. You know, it's not even that big of a penalty, but still, it's just I don't know. And I'm gonna tell you, man.
Yeah, that one was ridiculous. And then the other one where it was like the late hit or the block in the back that pushed Terry on Arnold into Caleb Downs as Jaden Daniels was rushing, and then it called for like a 15-yard penalty, which resulted in like a 1st and 1. I had never in my life seen a 1st down and 1. Like that was weird to me. I did not understand what was going on with that. Overall, kind of a weird game in general. Glad it went our way.
It just was a very I could definitely tell. I know I was going to say, I hope LSU don't take it this way. It just felt like the wind was taken out of the sail with Daniels. Like they got to get a quarterback next year because that I don't know how you pronounce it, but that backup's not the answer.
No, Garrett Nussmeier. If he's the Nussmeier that I'm thinking about, I guess he would be the son or related to Doug Nussmeier, who was offensive coordinator for Alabama for a couple years during the 2012, 2013 years.
I got to look that up. I'm curious now.
But that game to kind of end, that's the last game that we have on our list of college football games. We'll kind of talk a little bit now.
That is his kid. Apparently,
I figured
Doug is an offensive analyst, or he was for LSU. But he's actually now
so that must be why
he's the quarter. He never was. I thought he was. That's weird. My bad. He is the quarterback's coach for the Los Angeles Chargers.
Oh, okay. How about that? So in the NFL now. But moving on a little bit now, this game, Alabama sitting at 8-1. I saw earlier this morning, Alabama has a 29% chance to make the college football playoff. If everything goes right. And I've said before, Alabama does not control their own destiny right now. Just with the way that all the top 4 teams are, still being undefeated. You have to hope for some things to happen. And it probably will. Dominoes will fall. And a lot of people are saying that Alabama, if Alabama wins out and beats Georgia, you can't not put them in.
Yeah.
I mean, if you have, I don't necessarily think that's the case. I mean, I think, if it's a tight game between Ohio State and Michigan, you might still put the loser of that game in there.
There's a very
Texas
good
might still jump Alabama.
There's
Oregon
a very
might still jump Alabama.
good possibility you'll have a 2 Big Ten versus 2 SEC this year. And that's what it's shaping up to look like this year. Because, I mean, if Bama wins out and beats Georgia, and then Oregon wins out and be a 1 loss, and Washington is a 1 loss, Texas is 1 loss, and Ole Miss is they're not going to beat Georgia. But you got all those 1 losses. I don't know why you can't take Bama, who beat Georgia. I mean, I'm just being honest. I'm not saying that as a Bama fan, but that makes too much sense. And why would you not take an Ole Miss or Ohio State or a Michigan who's been dominant all season, and then lose by a close game? I would take it. I'd put 2 Big Ten versus 2 SEC personally.
Who do you think right now out of the top? Well, you know what? Let's do this. Let's do our top 6.
You know what? I'll do you one better. I can give you the top 10 right now. I'll name them all for you right now. I think 10 is going to be Penn State. I think 9 is going to be Ole Miss. I personally, I think Alabama should jump Texas, but they're not. I'm gonna leave Bama at 8. I'm gonna put Texas at 7. Put Oregon at 6. Washington at 5. 4. We'll go Florida State. 3 Michigan. 2 Ohio State. 1 Georgia.
I like that. That's honestly exactly how I would put it right now. I do think that Alabama should probably jump Texas, even though they probably won't, just due to resume right now, and how Alabama has played ranked opponents.
I agree. I mean,
aside from Texas. I mean, the only reason that Alabama is, behind Texas is because Texas beat Alabama. Though.
That's the only reason. That's the only reason.
But out of the top, let's say 6 that you had there, who do you think is most likely to drop within the next few weeks?
Ole Miss and Penn State. Penn State's got to play Michigan, and then Ole Miss got to play Georgia. I think those two.
Let me within your top within
your top 6
right now. Yeah.
After watching them the last couple of weeks, I'm gonna go Washington.
I agree. I think Washington. It just feels like they're driving on a really, really, really narrow road right now.
No, I
really
agree.
Does.
I think Washington, and then I would almost go. I don't know, man. Oregon looks good. I don't know. I'm gonna go. Washington would be my team though, most definitely. I don't see anybody else. I think that, in my opinion, the most for sure lock is Florida State. I think that's the for sure lock.
No, I agree. Out of the top 4, who I think is honestly most likely to lose. Got scared by a ghost. Out of the top 4 most likely to lose, of course, aside from Ohio State and Michigan, because they're going to play each other.
Yeah.
I think Georgia's a lot more likely to lose than Florida State is to lose. Or Ohio State or Michigan to lose to a game not against each other.
If Georgia I already think Georgia is going to be in the SEC championship. If they lose to Tennessee and Bama, that's the most ideal thing, to be honest.
Absolutely.
If you're a Bama fan, I know this will sound crazy when I say this, you're a Tennessee fan. Because there's no way you can beat Georgia twice.
No, I don't think so at all. It'll be interesting for sure. Well, that kind of wraps up our college football discussion, and we're leading down to the end of the episode here. But John usually does our questions.
He does the questions, yeah.
And he is not here, and I'm going to be honest with you. I don't have anything thought of in my mind right now.
I've thought of some stuff. I've been contemplating all day. Now, let me ask you. And I'm looking at one right now and just kind of thought it's probably not a good question, but something's better than nothing. Can a human being, and my fiance says she can, I don't think so. Can you really taste the difference between a Coca-Cola and a Pepsi?
Yes.
You think okay. What do you like more, Pepsi or Coca-Cola?
I'm a Coke guy. Now, really, I'm a Dr. Pepper guy. I'm Dr. Pepper all the way. But if I go to a restaurant and I order a Coke, specifically a Coke, and they bring a Pepsi, I'm gonna taste the difference. But you know what I really can taste the difference in more is Coke and Diet Coke. I can taste the difference in Diet Coke. If I take a sip, if I go to Chick-fil-A or McDonald's or something and I order a Coke and it's Diet, I'm gonna taste it right off the bat. I'm like, ooh, that's Diet.
I hate Diet Coke. Anything Diet, like sugar-free, and I can instantly, they always say, you can't taste the difference between Coke and Coke Zeros just without the sugar. I instantly taste it.
It's a very different taste. I don't dislike any Diet flavor stuff. I'll drink it, but I definitely notice the difference, and it's not anywhere as good as the regular. I'll drink a Diet Mountain Dew or maybe a Diet Dr. Pepper, but they suck.
In my opinion, I can taste it with anything. Diet Dr. Pepper, Diet Mountain Dew, Diet Sprite. I can instantly pick it up like that's a diet. I hate diet drink, and I don't even drink soda that much, and I can tell that it's a diet drink. Oh, let me ask you.
Well,
how would you rank your sodas? Right, give me your top 5 sodas. That'll be the question. Your top five sodas.
All right, top 5. All right, I'm gonna throw a number 5, and I don't drink them very often anymore because I don't live there. But in Alabama, and you can really only get them at the gas station or something. A Grapey Co. For those who don't live in Alabama,
in the summer you work outside.
Yes. Oh man, a nice Grapey Co. It's a grape flavored soft drink, really really good, especially in a can. That'll be my number 5. Number 4, I'll probably go Coke. I like Coke, but it doesn't crack my top 3. Coke is like a solid soft drink. Like it's good.
It's one of those like it's it's reliable. It's going to hit the spot.
Yeah, let me get a Coke. All right. Like if I go to a restaurant they don't have Dr Pepper, which y'all already know, Dr Pepper my number one. I'll get a Coke. Number 3, and my fiance hates it. I'm gonna go it's gonna be Mountain Dew. I like a good Mountain Dew every now and then, or I'll throw Mountain Dew / Mellow Yellow because they're kind of the same. I can't taste the difference between those two.
Yeah.
I like that kind of. It kind of gives you some energy, without like amping you up extremely. Number 2, I love a good Sunkiss or a Fanta, any orange flavored thing. Love me one of them.
Yes.
And then number 1, I'm gonna go Dr Pepper. Of course, that's king.
Not a bad.
What's your top 5?
Number 5. It might be in the South. It might be. It used to be big. I'm gonna go RC Cola.
Ooh, okay.
I love
Throw some peanuts in there.
I love me an RC Cola.
Moon pie.
RC Cola. Number 4. We actually have the same number 4. Give me Grape-A-Co.
Okay.
I love a good Grape-A-Co now. I liked that as a kid. And number 3, I'm gonna go with a Coke. Well, you know what? I'm gonna throw in there a curveball. I like a Coca-Cola vanilla.
Ooh, yummy.
Have you had those?
I have it. That's very good.
You can, and I'm gonna be honest, you almost can't taste it. It's almost better than Coke.
Or a good cherry Coke.
Yes.
I mean, you can't go wrong with a cherry either. But
those are good. Number 2, and you said it. I'm gonna go Sunkiss. Oh my gosh, nothing beats like an. You know what? That's gonna be my number 1. That's gonna be my number 1. I'll get in the description. Number 2, and it's only at this place. A Sprite from McDonald's.
Oh, good choice.
Oh my
good choice.
Gosh. When they ran that what was it? The Cactus Jack meal, and they had it with Sprite with like a barbecue. Oh, a Sprite from McDonald's. I don't know what they do to it, but it hits different. And number 1, I'm gonna go with the Sunkiss. To go off of you, an orange drink in the summertime. Oh man, you've been working outside. You get you a Hunt's Brothers pizza, and you get you a Fanta or a Sunkiss though. Oh man, it has. I can't crush a 6-pack of Sunkiss, but man, I could go to a vending machine, get me a can of Sunkiss, and oh man, I could shotgun it. It is a delicious soda right there. So that's our top 5 sodas. It's top 5 sodas.
It's a delicacy right there. Like you said, you go to the gas station, you get you a gas station piece like a Hunt Brother or a Sneaky Pete's hot dog or something. That's such a great summer meal. I agree for sure.
I think those are some great sodas. But yeah, that wraps us up with episode 7. We got a lot of content coming out, guys. And the holidays are around, and if we get enough subscribers, there might be some merch.
Ooh,
me and Sweaty Boys,
maybe some hats, some shirts,
maybe some hats, hoodies. Shirts. What loved one would love a Sweaty Boy and a Cowboy T-shirt. I mean,
a sweaty boy sweatshirt. Who knows?
And who knows? I mean, we ain't gonna go with them boo. We gonna get comfort colors.
Gonna get that good stuff.
You're gonna get that good stuff.
We gonna make sure you're comfortable.
I'm telling you, because we big boys, and big boys like to be comfortable.
That's right. But
guys, college basketball starts tomorrow on Monday, November 6th. You got Monday Night Football. It's another great week of sports. I mean, truly, if you are a sports fan, you are in heaven right now. You got college basketball starting, you got NBA starting, you got NFL going, college football. You just had the World Series, by the way. Rangers in 5. That was me. I called it on the last episode. Rangers in 5. You just had baseball World Series. If you're a hockey fan, you got hockey going on. You're in prime sports heaven right now. And you know what, though? How to get your best sports information? You need to subscribe and like the Heads Up Play podcast. We are killing it right now, guys. We're seedling. We're just like Michael Jordan. We're just like Apple and Microsoft. I'm not saying we're better than the slice of bread, but we're better than the invention of fire. We're gonna get there one day.
we're straight up just better than God's survival invention.
Yeah. I mean, we're great. We're gonna be there. We're gonna be there. Y'all just. And we remember our subscribers that was with us on day 1. We're going to take care of y'all. But, like and subscribe. Follow us on TikTok. Sam, what are the handles for all of our stuff? We got so many handles I can't even think about. I'm thinking about sodas. Now you got my tongue fat. I need something to drink.
Yeah, hit us up Follow us on Instagram, headsup_play. Add us on, follow us on TikTok, heads.up.play. Add us on Apple Podcasts. We're going to work on getting on Spotify as well. And if you're watching us here on YouTube, please like and subscribe.
Yeah.
Get this thing going. Like you said, we're a little seedling, but we're sprouting. We're just now coming out of the ground. But yes, that does do it for Heads Up Play, episode number 7. Guys, we appreciate it. Thank you.
Heads Up Play.